Welcome to 19 O'Clock News, a Kodocha podcast. My name is Mahou Shoujo M.
And my name is That Kodocha Girl.
And today we are doing a special Valentine's episode of 19 O'Clock News. I know this episode is going to come out at least a week before Valentine's Day, but we're trying to get into the habit of thinking ahead for when the episode is actually going to air when we film. And we're going to talk about the different Kodocha couples and gush over our favorite moments for each.
Yes, and Kodocha is one of those shows where I am a big fan of all the couples. Like, I don't think any of them are boring whatsoever.
Boring, certainly not. That's not a word I would use to describe any of them. I was trying to think about, because we're doing more of the canon couples in today's episode, but I was kind of trying to think about any of the like weird ships or like kind of what we would have called back in the day crack ships.
I've never heard that term. Can you our audience members who don't know what that means?
It is an ancient term from the early internet, and I'm actually going to see if I can pull up a definition to make sure that yes, there we go. So, crack ship, fandom slang, a ship that is canonically implausible, bizarre, or humorous. So I guess that would be like, I don't know, Misako and like Mr. Sengoku or something. Like just like absolutely batshit.
Yeah.
Not gonna happen. And I can't really think of any like kind of crazy ships that people legitimately ship from Kodocha.
I can't either. I've never seen any really bizarre ships. I could like think of some that would be funny. Like you could ship Babbitt with somebody. You could ship Babbitt with that reporter guy. That'd be pretty funny. Because I think they interacted a few times.
They do technically. Although, you know, Babbitt and Akito also interact a few times. So yeah, I don't know. It's the only weirdness I've ever seen from Kodocha, like shipping, is there are some deep in the fan fiction archives, there's some crossover works where they'll put Sana with characters from like other animes all together. But not a lot of in-show weirdness, which I just think is interesting.
And even the ships that aren't canon, they make sense, you know?
Yeah.
Like they were either together at some point or they had feelings for each other at some point.
Yeah, but there's just a complication there. Oh, actually, maybe my favorite weird ship in Kodocha is when you remember the episode where there's rumors that Asako is dating her co-star from that movie, and Sana and Akito have a like stakeout to see what's going on with them. And then the end of the episode, it's revealed that he's dating Mio Obana.
Oh yeah, that was hilarious.
I love that. That's my favorite reveal. So I guess that's maybe the weirdest ship in Kodocha.
That's actually canon.
That's actually canon, yes. It's not even a crack ship. I guess, friends, if you have a weird Kodocha ship, we want to know about it. I'm curious anyway. Drop it in the comments. All right.
All right.
You want to take it away?
Yeah. So the first ship that we are going to discuss today is the primary ship and couple in the show, and that is Sana and Akito.
Yes. What did you pick? I'm so curious to know what you chose. Because, okay, some context for readers. We are each going to share what our favorite moment is, chapter, episode, etc. But we don't know what the other person picked. So I'm so curious to know what was chosen.
So I'll be honest, I have a favorite moment, but I listed a few other ones so we could have some more discussion today. But my favorite moment between the two would probably be when Misako releases the book about Sana, and she has all those reporters in front of her house, and Akito comes on his bike and picks her up, and she's like a mess because, you know, Rei and Misako are fighting. And Rei says, "You're not her family member, so, you know, how can you know how she feels?" And Akito comes in and basically rescues her and takes her back to his house. And just the way that he hugs her and looks at her is just like, oh, it's pure love and just pure protection. And it's so it's so amazing to watch because with the buildup that we had prior with, the him and her getting closer, they kind of went from rivals to friends. And the fact that, we had the moment with them where Sana was pretending to be his mother. We had the kiss in the tower on the field trip for school. We had that moment when Akito's dad might have been dying and Sana came to him and she was comforting him. And I feel like that moment when he takes her away from the house and keeps her at his house in hiding from all those reporters, it just, everything came full circle at that point. And I just really love that moment. That was a moment for me when I first watched it. I was like, oh, I really felt just this warm feeling in my whole body watching it.
Oh, I love that. That episode is so good too. Well, I'm trying to remember where the episode's cut off and come back, but there's the hug by the front door, which I think is the one that you're referring to.
Mm-hmm.
But like later in that arc, when they fall asleep together in his room on the couch, I really love that one. That moment. That's not my favorite moment. That's not my moment that I chose, but it is a really good one. The art for that in the manga is just really lovely and detailed, and I love how they brought it to life in the anime as well. It's so wonderful. Totally know what you mean about that moment. His eyes are so intense. As always, but I really love
because it's almost like he had this moment of disbelief when he saw her breaking down, because we're so used to seeing happy Sana and Sana's invincible, she can't be sad, and it was like at that moment she let her guard down, and I felt like that moment was when they really like solidified what they had. Of course, they weren't a couple at that point, but the bond was established completely at that point, in my opinion.
I agree. I also really love that moment when like neither of them can sleep and they kind of run into each other in the hallway and it's like, oh, what do you want to eat? Ramen. I always thought that was extremely cute. Really love that moment.
So what about you? What's your favorite Sana and Akito moment?
I had a really hard time choosing. There are obviously so many good ones, but I really love in the manga chapter 41, which is their very first like official date once they get together for realsies on Christmas Eve. This arc is really kind of fun because it's kind of this brief respite we have between like Akito getting out of the hospital with all of the Kazuyuki stuff, but it's also right before Mask Syndrome Sana, which basically eats up the rest of the series for the most part. And so there's this like brief chapter where we get to be happy and there's nothing hanging over anybody's heads. And it's sort of Sana leaning into and getting excited about her relationship. So the date has it all, Akito completely misreading things, them fighting over nothing, Akito telling overexcited fans to back off and being kind of protective, a run-in with Fuka, and then finally their first consensual kiss, which I think probably is goes into a bit more of a makeout session, but that's just me based on the artwork.
I mean, can we blame them?
I know. I'm like, it makes me warm and fuzzy too, just because I'm like, oh, I remember being 13 and full of hormones. Like it's just this, it's a sweet time. But I really love that, like that sequence, she turns to leave, he shuts the door, he kisses her on the head, long look, and then they smooch.
And I think this is the chapter she makes like a little scarf for his dinosaur.
Yes, and then he puts it on. Well, she scarves are, or what was it? Sweaters are made to be bought. She starts off trying to knit a sweater, gets frustrated and gives him her attempt, which becomes a scarf for his dinosaur, which I think was extremely extremely wholesome.
I know, and I loved his reaction to it because his reaction was very wholesome as well. That's a good word for it.
Yes, I love it. I have a scan of that panel where it's like Akito's train of thought, scarf, dinosaur, puts them together. It's just so cute.
And I love how I don't think he said anything about it. I think it was just a thought. Like he just notices it and he's just like all happy in his head about it.
Yes, I think so too. And then of course Sana just really gets a kick out of it. I really love that chapter. It's very sweet. And they walk home together and she's all blushy and surrounded by flowers and Misako and
Mhm.
Ray are like, "What happened to you?" And it's like, babies first, frantic
Romance.
kissing in the club closet, like.
Oh yeah, that was a good
Memories.
read. When I first read it though, and they were like in the middle of the date and they were fighting a little bit, I was worried. I was like, oh no, are they gonna like break up again or something?
Nah. Nah, yeah, I totally hear you. It is just so classic them to find something to argue about, like for no reason. But I love that. I also like that chapter because we find out that Sana's really good at cooking French food.
Yeah, I think
What?
that's what it was.
Make it make sense? I have so many questions. And I looked this up recently, because I'm working on this chapter right now for my writing exercise.
Hmm.
And like I was like, is it really French food? And I like looked in the Japanese version and yeah, it's French food.
That's interesting. I wonder if I wonder if Obama chose that because like as an American, when I think of France, like I think of like, oh, Paris and the city of romance and romantic language. And maybe that's why, because she was in love and it just, I don't know, just a weird connection I'm making in my brain right now.
I know. Yeah, I don't know. Because I think it's kind of an interesting choice too, because one, to make Sana a good cook at I think notoriously challenging cuisine, but also when you like compare it to Sana's other attempts at international cooking, which include making cereal, American cereal, which she cannot do successfully. I don't know. I just think it's interesting.
Yeah.
But I think it's sweet. I love that chapter a lot. Great art, great long looks,
Hmm.
smooches. Makes me happy.
Oh
So,
yeah. So some honorable mentions that I had that I'd like to mention before we move on to the other couples.
mm.
I really like the moment when it's during the middle school arc, and I believe it's after Sana gets back from filming her movie with Naozumi, and Akito confronts her and is like, "You need to tell me the truth about if you
Mm.
have feelings for me." And I really love the suspense of that because that volume ends on that cliffhanger.
It sure does. Oh my gosh. I love that moment too. That look. That look, I know I'll never stop talking about this, but that look that they exchange when
Hmm.
I think it's kind of at the end of the argument when like they both have kind of like said what they're gonna say and they're just kind of sitting there in the realization of what's now out there. But
Yeah,
it's
and
really beautiful.
something else that I see in that look is just from both of them is exhaustion. Like
Yes.
I feel like they're both just exhausted with like Akito trying to get her to realize how he feels and she just doesn't get it.
Hmm.
But also Sana's exhaustion with just it's more with her, it's more just being stuck in confusion. And I think she's exhausted and tired of feeling that way.
Oh, 100%. I think it's really interesting too because, Sana finally kind of like says it, puts it out there. But then it's so funny that like once like the chips sort of start to land and they are able to get together, she really kind of pulls back and, is kind of almost afraid of taking those steps into being in a relationship officially.
Mm-hmm.
I think that she is kind of scared of the change. And this conversation certainly changes everything.
Oh yeah.
It's also just like that is such a tough chapter and episode because in both we have the confession. Everything hurts. It is terrible because obviously Fuka hears it and everybody scrambles for the social ramifications of that. And then later that episode is when they have their hug where they say goodbye seemingly forever and everything hurts
Yeah.
and is hard. um I love that sequence in both the anime and the manga. It's really, I think, really great art, but
Hmm.
oh my God, just emotionally devastating.
And I can't remember exactly because I've only watched the second half of the anime twice.
That's
So
once more than me. I'm gonna need that Blu-ray to come out now.
yeah, I
Hopefully by the time this episode comes out, Discotheque Day will have happened and we will have a release date for season 2. I dreamed a dream.
Okay, anyways. So
Anyway,
this
refocusing.
moment that we're talking about in the anime, doesn't this happen before she goes to New York?
Yes, this is pre-New York.
So that makes it worse.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. It's episode 65, and I think the New York episodes are like in the like 70s and 80s, I wanna say. That arc is like 15 episodes, so maybe longer.
Yeah.
It's lengthy.
Yeah, it's a bit too long for my taste.
Oh, me too. We've talked about this though, so I'm not gonna harp on it, but yeah, so it is before that, which makes everything hurt, as you mentioned, just that much worse. Oh, I had something I wanted to add to my chapter 41 thought. When they're on their date, Sana says, did you like Fuka? And he says, like, yes, I wouldn't have dated her if I didn't like her, but I couldn't really go through with it because, and I quote, for me, there's only you, which is so
Yes.
damn romantic. And
I
I'm over
know.
here just weeping. It's so much for me. So beautiful. That guy, he like does not set out to be romantic and then inadvertently will say like the most romantic shit.
I know. I think
Ugh.
that's why I love the character so much. I was telling my husband yesterday, we were talking about like our favorite characters in fiction
Mhm.
ever. And I'm like, you know who my favorite character ever is, right? And he's like, I really don't. I just looked at him like, it's Sana. And then right after that, very close second is Akito. Because of things like this. Like, this is amazing stuff. Like, yeah, character development and creation can't get any better than this right here in this series.
I 100% agree. Akito is definitely one of my favorite characters in fiction too. I was thinking about this recently I know this is very silly, but I made a My Anime List account where you can put in all of the animes you've ever watched, all of the manga you've ever read, and you can rate them and stuff. Just was a fun way for me to kill an afternoon, but it gives you an opportunity to pick like your favorite characters in anime, and I really had to think about it, and I think I did land on Akito being in the top 10, and so was Sana, but I think I might like Akito just the teensiest bit more than Sana.
Okay.
It's a sliver, so very close, but I love that little boy.
Yeah, I have an anime list too, but I never update it. And I usually go to Anime Planet to do that because
Oh,
I like the way their site looks. It just has a more polished look to it. My anime list
interesting.
looks like it's stuck in the early
You
2000s.
are
No
not wrong.
offense.
It looks like a live journal account.
Yeah.
That's fair. I have never heard of Anime Planet. I will go look at that. I'm curious now.
Yeah, do it. It's a pretty good site. I don't use it very often, but I get on there every once in a while to update things.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. I think that's fun. Anyway, I guess back to it. Other favorite moments. I feel like I had another one. This isn't a moment between Akito and Sana necessarily, and it's actually kind of sad because it's when Akito and Fuka are breaking up. But our sweet romantic boy inadvertently says something really sweet in that conversation too, where he's apologizing to Fuka. And he's like, I don't know why, but it has to be Sana. And that
Oh yeah.
also just
Hmm.
beautiful moment.
Hmm.
All right. Anything else for our best babies?
Let's see. I had a note here, and I have no idea what I'm referring to. I don't, I'm just gonna say it because I wonder if you can recall what I was getting at. I have other moments I liked, which I would like to talk about more, like when we get to those chapters and
Mm.
episodes. Like the Christmas kiss was
Oh,
on my list as well
yes.
as an
Thump
honorable
thump.
mention.
Mm-hmm.
But I have this one listed here, and I can't for the life of me remember what I'm talking about. It just says, Sana, my name is Sana.
Sana, my name is Sana. Is it the moment when she makes Akito laugh for the first time with the Samu thing?
Oh, yes, yes, yes. That is it.
Ah,
Because I'm looking at it closer and the M and it looks like NA, but it's an M. My name is
aha.
Sam.
Yes,
Because that
yes.
moment made me laugh when I first saw it in the anime. Like I felt like Akito in that moment because her Laura Bailey's accent was so hilarious.
Oh, yes.
Hi, my
100%.
name is Sam.
Oh, it's perfection. I love it. Yes. I love that scene so much. I also love that it's kind of a recurring thing and he will giggle thinking about that moment for like the rest of the series.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
so good.
thank you for clarifying that for me.
Always. I'm glad that I'm that inside your head. I
That sounds
love
kind of
it.
creepy though.
Yeah, maybe just a little bit. I mean, we just know I think it's lovely. Like we just our friendship is so deep. That's
Yeah.
what it is.
Hmm.
All right. Any other Sana and Akito thoughts? Or are we trucking right along to our other friends?
All right, so I'm ready to talk about Rei and Asako,
Me too. I had them on our list next too.
right?
What are your favorite Ray and Asako moments?
So my favorite Rei and Asako moment was it was right after, Sana finds out that Asako was Rei's ex-girlfriend.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they go see her, I believe it's at her apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And Sana tells Asako not to abandon Rei ever again, and she leaves. And Rei takes off his sunglasses, puts them on a table, and leans over and gives Asako a kiss. And I thought that was the sweetest thing ever.
That is my favorite Ray and Asako moment. I'm not joking. That's what I have written down. It's episode 11. Like yes, 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 yes. And I also I love that kiss also. Like because you don't like see their faces or anything, but I remember the first time I read it and the first time I saw that episode, really feeling like, I don't know, that attraction between them and like that love is so palpable, I feel like, in that scene. And it's also so comfortable. Like it's not their first kiss.
Oh yeah.
But there's a certain like passion behind it, that I
Hmm.
remember feeling very much where I was like, this is definitely the first time I had that thought where I was like, Obana gets it.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
she knows what that feels like. She gets it. And so yeah, I love that moment too. I had an honorable mention for episode 96 with the airport scene in the anime when Asako is going to London and Rei and her relationship goes public.
Another moment that I liked, and I can't remember if this was in the manga, but there's that moment when Rei's getting jealous. They're on the movie set in the mountains,
Mm.
and Rei's getting jealous of Asako's the guy that she's playing that they're not married in the movie, I don't think.
No, it's
I can't remember.
they are playing opposite each other. In the Mizuno Yakata manga, like they are friends with Sana's ghosty character. Only Sana's ghosty character like is dead and they continue aging and stuff, and so they begin a relationship. But yeah.
Yeah, I liked the moment when Rei like Asako was going out with that guy
Hmm.
after they had filmed that day, and Ray pretty much goes up to him and is like, "This is my woman." I liked that
Yes.
moment too.
I like that too. I also love how like giggly Asako is at that. And she's just like, hee hee, you're jealous.
Yep.
I think it's cute. It's cute.
I love how Asako is just like she's really chill about like their whole relationship, but like then you have Ray and he's like just a mess all the time. It's so adorable and sad.
I know. I really do feel for them because just their schedules don't allow them to be close, really. But I sort of headcanon that like probably within a few years, like they get married, Ray moves out of the Karatas, like, and like is still very present, obviously, because he's still Sana's manager,
Hmm.
and close with the family, but that they get to have at least time together at home, probably a couple of years after the canon.
Hmm. Yeah,
In my
I can
brain.
see that.
In my brain.
It makes sense.
I want that for them. Like I don't I always feel so bad. Like anytime we check in on Ray and Asako, Ray's just like, we are still together. I promise I have a girlfriend. I never see her, but she does exist.
Right. Or I
Our
like
poor
how it's, it's Christmas and
Oh, I
he's like having
know.
a glass of wine with her face attached to that
Yes,
sack
yes.
doll.
I really love that too. That scene, because he's so happy, like the first, like, what, 8, 10 minutes of the episode, and then he finds out she can't come, and the gloom is just overwhelming.
Yeah.
I think it's really funny. And also sad, but also cute.
Yes. It's a combination, very, very
Yeah.
mixed emotions there.
100%. Any other Rei and Asakos, or are we moving on down the list?
We are moving on down the list.
All
So,
right, is it Tsuyoshi and Aya o'clock?
yes. Mhm.
All right. I cannot wait for this one.
All right. So I'm genuinely curious to see if we have the same moment for this as well.
I am too. I wonder if we do.
All right. So Aya and Tsuyoshi. So my favorite moment between this couple has to be when Tsuyoshi's getting teased for being a mama's boy again in class.
Ooh.
And Aya pretty much interrupts Sana before she can even say anything to the boys and stands up for Tsuyoshi. And like, we're so used to Aya being this quiet girl who is very soft spoken, and she stands up for him and basically says that I love you, Tsuyoshi, in front of the whole class.
Aww.
Like, girl, that took so much confidence, and I admire her for that.
I admire her as well. Ugh, her birthday is next month too, so I'm already planning content for her birthday. Her and Naozumi share a birthday. Fun fact.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I remember Obana wrote that, I think, on one of her side panels. I think she mentioned that too.
Yeah,
or maybe
yeah.
maybe she didn't. I don't know.
We've
I
definitely
know we
talked about
talked
it in the
about it
Discord.
before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've talked about it in the Discord because at first I was like, is this an error? Or did Obana just intentionally give them the same birthday? But in any case, I've been thinking about that moment too. It's not the moment I chose, but you're not wrong in that it is a really wonderful Ayasukita moment. And then I also love that I think it's either that episode or like the next episode is when she makes Tsuyoshi cookies, and thus our favorite love couple is born.
Yes, the only couple that really didn't have any drama.
Pretty much none. Although I sort of feel like they might have. We just like didn't get to find out about it because Akito and Sana's drama is so all-consuming.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But my favorite moment is actually it's a filler episode. It is maybe my favorite filler episode of the series, and that is episode 33, Love Tastes Like Curry. It's the one where the class becomes divided, men versus women, and Tsuyoshi and Aya miss each other so much that they sneak out to have lunch together.
Oh yeah, they
during
had that little picnic. Yeah.
I love it so much. It's so freaking cute. You know, and like I think like he brings the rice and she brings the curry, and they enjoy their meal together. It's just really cute. I really love that episode.
I had that moment down too. It's one of my favorites, but it's not my favorite, but I really like it too. It's cute.
It is. It's just, I don't know. Yeah, it's wholesome. I think that episode is just really funny too, that Mitsuya Sensei and, oh, I've already forgotten his name. Her boyfriend. Tanaka. Yes, and that it's all kind of stems from their wedding nuptials arguments. It makes me giggle. I think it's a funny one.
But yeah, I agree with you that I don't know what my favorite filler episode would be, but whenever I think of the ones that I really like, I always think of that one because I thought that they captured the spirit of the elementary school arc in that filler episode.
Yes, I completely agree. Some of the filler arcs I find a little much, and again, I don't want to harp on this because I know we've talked about it a lot, but that is one of the ones that I really enjoy. I feel like it's true to the spirit of the thing without being like too long or too out there, and they don't really change any characters to make it happen, you know?
Mm-hmm. I would like to say on the note of Aya and Tsuyoshi as well, and this has more to do with Sana and Akito's relationship. It's just how they were big advocates for them getting together, especially Tsuyoshi. And like, oh, it's just like I hate watching like the fallout when they go to middle school and like all the drama, and it's like Tsuyoshi and Aya pretty much remained, they didn't really get too involved in the drama. I'd say they were more observers, and I just felt so bad watching them, especially during that moment when they're having lunch outside with Fuka and Sana gets really upset and storms off. and they're just watching all this unfold and they can't really do anything about it.
Yeah.
It's so stressful.
Yes, I completely agree. And it's also like it's awkward for them too. I think about, and I think it is that Christmas Eve chapter 41 in the manga where, Sana's trying to get together another like middle birthday party for everybody. And I was like, we can't go. Like Tsuyoshi and I have Christmas Eve plans of our own. And also it would be like kind of awkward for us because we're friends with all of you. Like just sort of, I think, emphasizing how kind of in the middle they really are. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but they're good, wonderful friends.
Mm-hmm.
And I like, in Deep Clear that to me it seemed pretty obvious that they were still together and still friends and supportive.
Oh yeah.
That made me happy.
So do you have any other thoughts about Aya and Tsuyoshi?
I don't, not for now. They're just a sweet, sweet baby angels. How about you?
No, that's all I had.
All right. What's next on the list?
Let's see. Next on my list is Akito and Fuka.
Ooh, let's go.
Okay, so I guess I'll start. And I'd like to begin by saying this is my least favorite couple in the series, and it's very hard for me to pick a moment between them. And my moment's a little unconventional because it's just very hard for me to get enjoyment out of any quote unquote romantic moments between them. So I actually went with the anime scene where they are all standing at the airport watching Sana and Naozumi go to New York.
Uh-huh.
And I picked the scene where Akito and Fuka begin to hold hands as they are leaving. And let me explain.
I know,
why.
I'm waiting. It's fine.
I know it's controversial, but I picked this scene because it was the best scene to showcase the fact that that whole situation was heartbreaking. Like, it was the best moment that conveyed that heartbreaking feeling. Every other moment that conveys that, the heartbreak between Sana and Akito and the jealousy and all that during the early middle school arc, I feel like that moment in the anime was very well done because it was just so soul crushing to watch, and it was the most emotional moment for me. Do I like it? No, I don't, because it makes me feel things I don't like to feel. But again, in terms of the storytelling and the context, I thought that scene was very good to put in there. I can't think of another word, but it was just a very good way to show just how much it hurt not just Sana but also Akito, because after that, we see him watching as the plane flies away. So I chose that moment because of the emotional weight that it has.
It does have that. You're not wrong. Everything hurts.
I made you uncomfortable, didn't I? I probably made everyone who's
you're
listening to this.
fine. You're fine. I'm just like, it's hard for that scene is so, as you say, it's heart-wrenching. It's a punch to the gut. And I will say, like, because the first time watching through the series, I'm 13 years old, right? That scene is probably what made me really hate Fuka, which I've really come completely full circle. And now I really like Fuka as a character. I do think the anime did her a little dirty, and I do think that that's one of the scenes.
Oh yeah.
That made her more of a villain than she is, for sure. But yeah, it's a punch to the gut. That whole everything hurts. That whole situation is so hard.
Yeah, and then we have to spend, like, right after that scene, and what makes it worse is right after that we have to spend a very long time in New York without really any kind of resolve, and it's just
and
painful.
And there's not even any meanwhile in Japan. Like, it's just kind of radio silence, which is annoying and frustrating. That's just like tack that onto my season 2 complaints generally.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, it's a moment. I hesitate to, I'm like, it's a good moment because it's not a good moment. It's a, extremely painful moment, but I understand why you chose it. And I think it's an interesting and good point to bring up.
Yeah, and there's not, I mean, obviously there are a lot of fans of the series, which we will get to shortly in our discussion, who like the Sana and Naozumi ship. And I'd say that I don't oppose that ship 100% at all. But that moment, yeah, I despise it. And like I said, the only reason that I put it on my list of favorite moments, and it's not really, calling it favorite is not really doing it justice, but
Yeah.
but I put it on there again because I feel like it really captured it. Really, I feel like it made you feel how both Sana and Akito feel, and for that I must acknowledge how good it was in the series.
Yeah. I definitely hear that. I think for me, and I will be honest with you, listeners, we've been chatting about some of this in the lead up to recording this episode, but Akito and Fuka is such a challenging relationship to find a silver lining in, a little bit, just because they are so unhappy when they're together. I think Akito knows deep down that he's doesn't really have real feelings for Fuka, and I think on some levels she knows and can feel that, and so it's just never really a happy relationship. I was saying to Ari before we got started that I think my favorite Akito and Fuka moments are from before they get together, when they are fake dating, when Fuka's friends are in town from Osaka. Like it's a lot lighter and happier when they don't have the pressure of being in a real relationship on top of it. And I
Mm-hmm.
think when Fuka's honest with herself about the fact that Akito clearly, is in love with Sana.
Oh
So,
yeah.
I think they make better friends. And I really got to credit Fuka too with, she, I think, really puts effort into trying to make things easy in the friend group again and not awkward. And I think that she's the bigger person at the end of the day for doing that. I mean, even in like the final chapter, when Akito is visiting Japan again before he moves back, and she's just like, oh hey, what's up? And it's fine and easy, and they all get to be friends again. I really like that. I think that like high school kind of heals some of those wounds for them too, in my head canon.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, when I think about it, like when Obana wrote these characters, I really liked the fact that she didn't make anyone toxic. Like if this were, and I'm saying this because I guess from my personal experience and just other people's personal experiences that I know, and not to say that these characters are not relatable, because they definitely are 100%. But I feel like realistically, like if this was going on like at my high school or middle school, like Fuka and Sana wouldn't be friends until like maybe they were like adults. It would have been that toxic. Like, so I'm very impressed with like how Obana conveys how these characters mature in this series. It's very well done.
Oh, for sure. I think, yeah, I completely agree. And I also like, I appreciate Fuka also because like I love Sana and I love Akito. Communication is not either of their strong suit. And I do think that like if it had been up to either of them, things might never have been normal with Fuka. I do
Mm-hmm.
think it really took just Fuka being a different person to kind of save the friend group in a way. And
Mm-hmm.
I thought about this recently when I was working on my writing exercise slash fan fiction, but like she really could have just dropped them all. Fuka,
Oh yeah.
she could have dropped Akito, she could have dropped Sana, she could have dropped Tsuyoshi and Aya, and she could have just like you know gone off with her gymnastics friends. Like she's clearly very popular, she's doing well in school, like she's well liked. She's not even in Akito and Tsuyoshi and Aya's like homeroom. Like she could have made other friends, but I don't think that's the kind of person she is. So I will get off my soapbox now, but
No, I
justice
100%
for Fuka
agree.
Matsui.
Oh yeah, I recently made a video about that.
I know
It's
you did,
called
and I loved it. It's so good.
Thank you. So I got a comment on the Fuka video that I made recently. And I apologize if I mispronounced the name, but I would like to give a shout out because I thought this comment was just brilliant. And this comment was made by a user named Radiar. And they brought up the fact that Fuka was not only a catalyst for Sana realizing her feelings for Akito, and kind of giving their relationship a jump start after the drama died down. But they also mentioned how Fuka revealed Akito's insecurities, which I thought was a very interesting observation. What do you think about that comment?
Oh, I think I don't totally understand what they're referring to by insecurities, I guess.
So they go on to explain how Akito, he's very introverted, and he's a bit overshadowed by Sana and Naozumi. And I think the person writing this was saying, Sana and Naozumi, they're both actors, they're well known, they're outgoing. Akito's he keeps to himself, and he's always had a lot of low self-esteem. The person goes on to explain that they theorize that Akito settled for Fuka because he felt like he couldn't be with Sana. Sana was too much of a star, so to speak. And I thought that was a very interesting point. I never really thought about it that way before.
That is an interesting point. Because yeah, that does come up a bit in the manga that honestly, Naozumi, God love him, says cryptic things to Akito, which I think make him spiral emotionally, and start overthinking things. But that is what kind of led Akito to picking up karate and finding all of that. So, no, it's an interesting thought.
Yeah, I just wanted to give that a shout out since we were talking about it, and
Yeah.
I thought that was a very interesting little theory there. So,
Yeah, I like that.
So do you have any other thoughts about Akito and Fuka?
No, not really. It's such a challenging relationship to watch.
Yeah,
You
you sounded
know?
you sounded very drained when you said that.
Just a little. I'm like, just like the junior high arc, like everything hurts all the
Yeah,
time, and no
it
one is
is.
happy for like 3 volumes and like 25 episodes, and it's just a lot.
Yeah, with no breaks in between, really.
No breaks, only heartbreak, but it all goes like it's supposed to. But yeah, so is Sana Naozumi next on our list?
Yes.
All right.
All right. So before I talk about my favorite moment between the two, I would like to say that I actually really like this ship. I don't think it's like, if it was a canon ship, I probably wouldn't be too happy about it because I do think that Sana and Akito were meant to be together. But I also liked the friendship and relationship between Sana and Natsumi a lot. I felt like it was not toxic. I felt like Natsumi really cared about her, and I felt like Sana really cared about him too, just not in the same way. So my favorite moment between Natsumi and Sana is actually when they were filming in the mountains, and Sana had just had that conversation with Akito over the phone and found out that he was dating Fuka, and she was heartbroken, and she's laying in bed. She just couldn't smile, just couldn't really be happy. And she goes outside, it's late, and she just starts to think about everything, and she cries. And then Natsumi appears, and he's crying too, and he hugs her and says that I'll always be here for you. And it's just a really sweet moment, but it's also very sad because as they're hugging, Sana is still thinking about Akito, and this to me implies that she would rather be hugging and crying with Akito. And it's really sad for Natsumi. I really feel for him there because you can tell he's just really being vulnerable with her in the same way that she was with Akito. Going back to my favorite Sana and Akito moment when they were at the front door after Akito took her away from her house from all the reporters. And it's just not met with the same response because Sana and Naozumi don't have that same bond. But I do love that moment though, because you can definitely feel the love from Naozumi and from Sana too. But again, it's not the same kind of love. I believe she loves him, but it's not a romantic feeling at all. She has deep feelings for Natsumi. She deeply cares about him, but for her, it's more of a sibling kind of feeling, I think.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. Like I love Naozumi as a character, and I think that the friendship that they have is very deep. Um and I think that I don't know, I've been lucky in my life to have some really like deep friendships with people where there's nothing else there necessarily. It's just a closeness, and I think that they'll always have that, even if it's not romantic on both sides. And I do feel for Naozumi, and we talked about that a lot when we did our Naozumi feature episode, so I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
repeat myself too much, because it is very sad, that he's sort of in a lot of ways never really able to move on from Sana. But at the end of the day, like, I think Sana can't really take responsibility for how he feels.
Yeah.
But he is a good sweet boy, and I want happiness for him.
Mm-hmm.
But I would agree, I like that moment a lot. I do, trying to think of, I love the commercials that they shoot together. I know that's like, I think I've said that before, but I love the Heel Band commercial and the Cheek Smooch commercial.
Oh
I
yeah,
think
I
those
like that
are,
one too.
they're just really cute. And yeah, I think I don't know, they look good together on film, and I think they make good collaborators and friends, and you know, and then having that shared background too with the Camera Orphanage Academy is really cool as well. So,
Oh yeah, they really have good chemistry. And this is something that I usually feel like when you have love triangles in shows, there's always characters that have better chemistry with the other, like
mhm.
one coupling of two in the triangle is always going to be better than the other. Like
Mhm.
of course people have their preferences, but I always feel like there's always a special spark between two of them that usually leads to it becoming canon. And I'd like to bring this up as an example of a love triangle I felt like just and I've always wanted to make a video about this, and this is kind of going off topic just a little bit, but
Mhm.
I just would love to bring this up here to show just a bad example of a love triangle that went wrong, in my opinion. But
Ooh.
so there's this another popular 90s anime, and it's called Marmalade Boy. Have you seen it?
I have not seen it. I have
Well,
not.
dear viewers, I despise this anime, okay? So I apologize. I know a lot of people like it, but I just there's so many things about it that rub me the wrong way. But anyways, at the beginning of the series, there's a love triangle between the main character, her name is Miki, and then part of this love triangle is her ex-boyfriend Genta, and the other one is her not blood related brother, her stepbrother Yu. I think his name was Yu. And I felt that Miki and Genta had really good chemistry, even though, they were basically exes and they were fighting. But I felt like they should have gotten together, but no, she ends up with Yu. And it just frustrated me to no end because, like, I feel like she has no chemistry with her stepbrother. And it was so frustrating, and there's other issues with this anime that are problematic, and I will stop talking about this. But in comparison to Kadocha's love triangle with Natsumi, Akito, and Sana, this is a love triangle that is done well because I feel like every side of this triangle you can empathize with. And that is something that I feel is very rare in these sorts of situations. And when you compare it to another anime of the genre that does this, it's just it peaks in comparison to Marmalade Boy, which is just why do people like this anime? And I apologize. I know people have their preferences, but just why?
Yeah, I could not tell you. I do find it very interesting though that Marmalade Boy is so popular. You know, like it's been on my to watch and to read list for I don't know, 10 years. I've just never really gotten around to it. And honestly, like the thing about it that interests me the most is that, you know, people point out pretty regularly that Miki and you look kind of like older Sana and Akito. And so on some levels, that might be why I'm interested in it.
That was why I started to watch it, because
mm,
I prefer the 90s shoujo anyway. And
mm.
I heard that, like, oh, it's very similar to Kodocha, the style. No, it's not. It's
Just two characters with similar designs.
uh, two characters with some similar designs. I wonder which one came first. I have to look
I
that up.
think Kodocha. I don't know. Actually, you know what? Let's look it up right now. We have computers right here.
Oh yeah, duh.
Marmalade Bee. I'm gonna look it up. We're gonna find out. I lie. May 1992 to October 1995. So that's and Kodocha was 94 to 98, I think. That's interesting.
Okay.
I didn't know that. I really thought it came later. That's interesting. 92 to 95. And they actually just got a manga North American reprint from Seven Seas.
Of course they did. I'm
I know.
sorry.
Well, I
I really
know.
need to tone it down
I
because I
know.
know people like
The thing that gives me the thing that I appreciate about that though, it gives me hope like that Kodocha could get a reprint if Marmalade Boy did, which is a
oh yeah.
slightly older series that was also published in Rebone, which is also owned by Shueisha. Like it just gives me hope.
hmm
You know, that maybe one day we'll get a Kodocha reprint. So you know what? If and I am gonna be honest, I considered buying the Marmalade Boy reprint just because I want Seven Seas to know that people like 90s reprints from that era. Please
Yeah,
reprint Kodocha.
and that's a
Please.
good idea. And I mean, maybe you will enjoy that series. Again, I'm not speaking for everyone. I'm speaking for me, but I just felt like the romance in it was done very poorly. I felt like the whole step sibling thing was a little weird. And there's another situation that I'm sure people have seen it. I'm not going to go into detail here about it, but Miki's friend is in a relationship with someone who's a bit older than her.
Oh, we
So
love shoujo 90s anime with our age gap relationships. So common. I will leave it be because we've started to have this conversation about 80 times and it's we don't really have a good solution for it. It's just a thing that I hate.
yeah.
But
So back to Naozumi, I had one more thing to add.
yes. What?
Now, another moment, and there's actually two moments like this that I really liked. But this was more about Natsumi being very supportive of Sana and Akito's relationship, and also taking care of Sana in his own way. Is when Sana sees on TV when her mother's book has been published, and Natsumi goes on TV and tells everyone that he is an orphan as well. And
Yes.
I thought that that was a really sweet thing of him to do. And another moment that was very similar to this, and I can't remember if it was on, I think we talked about this in the Nazumi episode that we had, about the moment when Nazumi and Sana come back from their movie and he's on TV or the radio and he is like, oh, well, Sana has someone that she likes. She turned me down.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I just love how he is an advocate for Akito and Sana in his own way,
Yes. He's
despite being so in love with Sana himself.
Yes, I think he's an advocate for Sana's happiness, and that's what makes him such a good boy. You know, it's interesting about like obviously Fuka is the catalyst in many ways for Sana and Akito getting together. We have to give Naozumi credit as well.
Hmm.
Because if Akito hadn't caught that TV interview and realized that Sana had feelings for him, we might never had our hallway confrontation and all that followed. So
Exactly. Hmm.
gotta thank our boy, our sweet baby boy, for doing what was best for our girl.
Mm-hmm.
He's a good boy.
For
Well,
sure.
well, any
It's
other?
so good.
It is so
So
good.
so heartwarming and just amazing.
Yeah, that's why we're here.
Yep.
Um, yeah. Anything else
I,
you'd want
I
to
feel
add
like
for couples
uh I
or
don't
the
have
series
anything.
or generally?
I was gonna say like sometimes I feel like these episodes are just literally just two
Us,
girls
us
gushing
gushing.
over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It does wade into that territory at least once an episode where we're like, ugh, isn't this show just so superior to all other shows and media?
Yeah.
Like,
Like hey guys, come listen to our podcast where we just sit for about an hour and just gush.
yeah. I've been proud of us though. I feel like we have actually done a pretty good job of, trying to stay on topic, trying to analyze things, have thoughts.
Oh yeah.
It's not 100% gushing, it's just like 50% gushing, maybe.
And that's okay.
Exactly. Exactly.
All right.
Well,
So how about I thought of something maybe fun that we could do before we
ooh,
wrap this up.
yeah.
Are there any other couples in the series that you were talking about crack ships?
Crack ships.
What would be some funny ships in Kodocha that would just be so bizarre?
Oh, I don't know. It's Misako just really comes to mind as like a perfect crack ship person because I do think that she's generally so happy on her own and doesn't really need to be in a relationship. So the idea of just like pairing her with anybody secure enough to be with her is pretty wild. I'd say
So
Misako and somebody. I need to think on who, you know?
yeah, I was actually thinking that too. Like, I guess because
Oh,
she is single, so it's easy for us, I guess, like ooh, play matchmaker in our head with her and be like, "Oh, who'd be good?"
yes,
Even though
exactly.
it's weird, but but two people that come to mind are Ray, even though he's a bit younger. Um if you want to go that route. Or her publisher,
Oh,
Onda.
Onda. Oh my God, poor Onda. I don't know. Yeah, that would be pretty crazy. Ray and Misako would also be pretty crazy. Yeah, I have such a I have warm fuzzies about their friendship. So it's like hard for me to even go there
Yeah.
romantically. And I'm searching like kind of further beyond like for a match for Misako. Like I'm like thinking, other adult characters in the series. I'm like, would Zenjiro be a good match for
Interesting.
Misako? I'm like, if we're talking crack ships, just like absolutely crazy pairings, Zenjiro and anybody, I think, would be a pretty crazy pairing.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know.
Uh
Oh,
Zenjiro and
Misako
Sako.
and Fuyuki.
Oh
Gross.
my
I
gosh.
hate
Oh my
it.
gosh. That'd be
And they
awkward though
would be
for
step siblings.
then it would be a Marmalade Boy situation. But it'd still be better than
Hooray!
Marmalade Boy though.
I know, I really, yeah, I don't, yeah. I said it, but I hate it.
You could always say like Misako and her ex-husband somehow get back together, but I doubt that guy is gonna
Ugh,
change.
that guy's a mess. Yeah.
I know. Hey, do you have any money?
This guy. Ugh. Anything else? I don't know. I'm trying to think of any
Uh,
other like crazy crack ships. People sometimes, and by people I mean me when I was 13, would pair Naozumi and Fuka together because I think that like at the time I was like, I don't like that they're alone. I'll just put them together, even though I think that's actually a very bad pairing.
yeah, I don't know. I can't really see them together. Not
Me
that I think
neither.
they would be bad together, but it just doesn't fit.
Yeah. It's a sort of I think it's pretty common in fan fiction is like if there's a character that ends up alone, they'll just put them with anybody else and it's always kind of like this makes no sense. Um I think they'd be better off alone. So
Yeah, I can't think of any other ones. I was trying to think of maybe someone for Akito's sister, Natsumi,
yeah, I don't know. Because there's
but
nobody, we don't really meet anyone age appropriate for her, right? Like
Yeah,
Everybody's
and
either
then we
grown or
had
middle school.
yeah, and then we had like a filler arc where she had like a toxic
Oh
boyfriend,
yeah,
but
I forgot about that.
that wasn't really,
Yeah.
that was filler and that wasn't really romantic.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I sort of headcanon that she ends up with an American guy when they move to LA.
That makes sense.
It's
Yeah,
just
I
it's
could
just
see
my
that.
headcanon. Like I don't know if there's anything to that, but it's just what I think,
It's possible.
and that she ends up
Mhm.
staying over there. But yeah.
Time to write a fan fiction about that.
Oh, it's on my list. I've got like a Kodocha expanded universe in the works.
That's
There's
awesome.
a Fruits Basket author that I really admire. Her name is Onigiri Cat Forever, and she has written something like 15 to 20 books worth of Fruits Basket fan fiction,
Oh, that's
carrying
amazing.
us like up into the character's like very old age. Like
Oh,
she's
wow.
like it's wild the amount of research and time and effort she's put into the series, and it's very well done. And I'm definitely was kind of inspired by the level of care and effort that she put into her Fruits Basket fan fiction, and would like to do the same for Kodocha and kind of
Yeah.
build out that much additional thoughts. So,
I really, really respect that. That takes a lot of creativity and
oh,
time.
it's nuts how much work she's put into it. Like she's got like appendixes with like children's names, the kanji used for those children's names. Like it's wild how much work she's put into it. I'm also assuming they're she. I don't actually know that for sure. It's just a vibe. So if
Mhm.
I'm misgendering anybody, I want to apologize for that in advance. But I've been a regular reader of theirs for a long time and really love all of their work. So fan fiction authors are helping us along, and I have to thank them for that. So
Mhm.
anyway, any final thoughts before we wrap this cutie pie on up?
Let's do a last question, and
Okay.
I feel like this is I feel like this is a no-brainer with us though, so I don't even know why I'm asking. But or here's an even better question.
Okay.
Other than Sana and Akito, which ship is your favorite that we talked about today?
Mine's probably Ray and Asako. How about you?
Actually mine is Sana and Naozumi, just because I really like the depth there, and there's a lot that as someone who is was a psychology major and I like to analyze fiction to no end.
Mhm.
I like analyzing their friendship slash relationship, so that's why I choose them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting.
Right,
What
that's all I
else?
have.
All right, me
That's
too. Happy Valentine's Day, friends.
Happy Valentine's Day.
We'll see you next time. Join us in March for a an episode on our girl Sana Karada in honor of her birthday.
See ya.
See ya. Thank you for listening to 19 O'Clock News, a Kodocha podcast.
19 O'Clock News is hosted by That Kodocha Girl and Mahou Shoujo M.
We love making new friends. Feel free to join us in the Kodocha Discord under Kodocha_media.
19 O'Clock News is not affiliated with any current or previous rights holders to Kodomo no Omocha by Miho Obana.